Jack Harlow has a new album out called Jackman. Um, he made some bold claims saying that he is the best rapper out, white rapper since Eminem, and other white rappers clearly took offense and umbrage to that, and that's probably why he caught some strays, and he's probably going to catch some more strays on the way. I don't really agree with that sentiment. I don't think he's really done enough in the game. I think he's had a couple hot singles, but I think overall he's been kind of average, mid-level artist, and that's about it. But he has a new project out, Jackman. I didn't really like his first debut album, and so I don't really know or have many expectations for this one here, but I know he's been creating a lot of buzz, at least among hip hop heads and fans. So we wanted to give this one a listen, and yeah, let's just get right into it. Jack Harlow, Jackman, track one, Common Ground. Let's go. Okay. He opened up with some surprisingly self-aware lyrics right there in bars. Like, I wasn't really expecting that, but I mean, it was dope. I think production was solid. I think his flow was decent. I think the lyrics were decent. I don't think it's like, again, groundbreaking or, you know, worth kind of like writing home about, but I think it was decent, solid, middle of the ground rap that you would kind of expect from a mainstream rapper these days. And it was cool. Like I said, it was definitely some very surprisingly self-aware lyrics and bars going on about the culture, which was dope to see. So shout out to him for that. Let's go track number two. They Don't Love It. Well, there it was. That was the line that caused all this kind of conversation among the culture, and for him to probably catch those strays from Machine Gun Kelly, saying he's the best white rapper since the guy who had vomit spaghetti on his hoodie, however the bar went. Basically, he was referencing Eminem from 8 Mile, and a lot of artists have done that same exact thing throughout their career. I think it's almost impossible these days to be a white rapper and not get compared to Eminem, because he is one of the most successful and well-known rappers of all time, not just white, but of all time. So for him to also be white, like, it makes it extremely hard for other artists to kind of come in and break in and be different, because a lot of people kind of expect him to do the same thing that he's doing, but it's impossible. But he is kind of making that claim, and again, I don't know if I agree with it or not. Probably not. But, he is probably the hottest out of all the white rappers in rap these days. He's got the most buzz, probably the most clout, most recognition within the culture. And yeah, he's just doing what you do in rap, and he's boasting and being braggadocious and kind of puffing his chest out. So I don't really have, much opinion about it. I don't think it was that exciting. It was a very harmless bar in general. Yeah, I mean, it was decent. It was kind of like a quick little flow. You can definitely see his influences from Drake all over his songs that he makes and his selections when it comes of music. That was very reminiscent of like early 2000s, when people would kind of hop on these soulful type beats, especially in New York, and just get a bunch of bars off, a la Dipset. So it's kind of a throwback to that era. But yeah, let's go to the next track, Ambitious. Shout out to Paid Siva, man. That's the homie for real, for real. So shout out to Pepe. He's getting a shout out from a Jack Harlow track, which kind of makes sense because he is from Louisville, and Paid Siva is a Louisville legend. So that was dope. I mean, it's cool. It's cool. Only thing is, like, if you've been around hip hop for as long as, I have, and you were around during like the early 2000s, this would just be like an average track. Like, this would just be an average track you would hear on a weekly basis. Like, getting a soulful beat with strong drums and getting bars off. Like, it's nothing new. And I don't really think he's doing anything like new or exciting lyric wise. Like, I think it's all serviceable, which is how I feel about him in general. Just serviceable. Let's go to the next track. Is That Ight? Yeah, I mean, it was cool. Just another one of those, which is kind of in the same lane that he's done before on this project. Like, it was okay. Let's go to the next track. Gang, gang, gang. Okay. Now this, I like this. This is the first song that really kind of made me perk up and like really listen to what he was saying. I think it's the most interesting, most layered, most kind of like most in-depth song that he has had so far on this project. Everything else has kind of just been throwaway bars. But this, like, the subject matter was obviously extremely dark and heavy and dense. And while I don't think he dove like that deep into it, I think it was an interesting route to take, and it was kind of like something I wasn't expecting to hear. And it's not something that you really get talked about like in the mainstream or like in music in general, but to get like this kind of like in your face representation of what he's talking about was unexpected, and it gave me the most to like kind of engage with for sure. And yeah, so far it's probably my favorite track off the album. I think the production was great, dark, moody, appropriately kind of like melancholic. And yeah, I think he kind of did his best work here. I think what people, especially a lot of like white rappers, seem to kind of forget about Eminem is that, yeah, he's got bars and he can rap and he has lyricism and he has the skills to back it up when it comes to like similes, punches, metaphors, everything that you would kind of come to equate from a great lyricist. Yeah, he's got that in spades. But he also had like great storytelling and song structure and like depth to what he was saying, whether you like resonated with his subject matter or not. It was more than just kind of rapping. Like, he had depth and like things to kind of grasp on besides just the ability to put words together, especially early on with his earlier albums. And I think a lot of people kind of get lost in his ability to just rap and put a lot of words together. But he really had this crazy storytelling ability, especially early on, that had you engaged whether you resonated or not. And this is probably the closest I've seen to him kind of tapping into that so far on this album. But all right, let's go to the next one, Denver. This one is dope. This is a dope song. Again, like I was saying kind of in the last one, he gave you more to kind of like engage with and latch on to, and like had more depth and layers to the things that he was saying, not just how he was saying them. And he's clearly doing like his best kind of Drake impression. This is especially like flow wise, subject matter, lyricism was very reminiscent of like Drake, especially like in his early days. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is. He's had those accusations before, and I don't think he's doing much to squash those. Let's go to the next one, No Enhancers. It's cool. I think the production. I think the production was solid. I like the soulful R&B kind of backing route that he goes on some of these tracks, and it was more of a teaser than anything, but it was a cool little teaser, and I wouldn't mind to hear that turn into like a full-on song. So last three, let's go to It Can't Be.
Another one.
That's another dope track. I think the production was again very solid. Like the last couple ones, I think again, probably most catchy song for me. I liked his flow. I like, where he was going with the song. I think his subject matter was dope. It was relevant to a lot of things that was going on with him in his life. And I think he, it was kind of his response to a lot of the kind of people's criticisms about him and his music and his career and everything. So I mean, it was cool. That was a cool little track. Again, very Drake reminiscent, but a cool track on its own. This is Blame on Me. Cool, very kind of introspective track from him. It was definitely kind of his most fleshed out, I think, idea in song musically of this whole project to this point. It's also the longest, so that makes sense. But it was cool. Like I think it was, again, I think he went to some depth in his kind of lyricism and songwriting that he doesn't always go to. But I think that this was a very revealing song and very introspective, and I think it hit that kind of right level of a feel for a song like that, and it was cool overall. Like I said, it was definitely his most fleshed out idea so far. Let's just do the last track questions. All right, it was a cool song, like it's decent, but again, a lot of the criticism that he gets from, I guess, from the hip hop community in general is that this is just Drake light, Drake extra light. Like this is just a straight up Drake track, like, but with Jack Harlow on it. And it's not necessarily a bad song, but it's also like, it just makes you want to listen to Drake instead. Like somebody who can do this at a much higher level and who can speak about things in a much more resonant way than he can. But yeah, I mean, it was overall, it was just decent. It was okay. It wasn't nothing crazy to write home about. This whole project, Jackman felt like kind of like his version of Russ's Chomp, if you are familiar with those projects, where he wanted to prove kind of like his critics and haters wrong and show that he can rap and that he is at this level in the game. And he has this ability that a lot of people kind of take for granted and don't really give him credit for. And this kind of seemed like his response to a lot of his critics and criticisms and haters out there, and kind of a response to his, I'll say, not well received prior album. Hold on. Definitely feels like a direct kind of response to his prior album that wasn't the most well received, and a lot of people kind of consider lackluster, like your boy included. I don't really think he did much to answer those questions. I think he did show that he has capabilities of making some quality music, but that's something that we've already kind of known because he has had hits on his hands and he's had some great moments in music already for this, budding career. But I don't think he's really put to rest the question a lot of people have is he really a true artist and a rapper who has the capabilities of lasting, or is he just kind of like the flavor of the month, like a lot of these artists that come and go in the game? And I don't think he really answered that question because, again, he falls back onto this kind of like formula that's already been well worn by the likes of Drake. And I know it's something that worked extremely well for him. And why wouldn't you want to do that? But in the game of hip hop, I think originality is king. And I don't think he's really done much to really separate himself or differentiate himself from the massive field of artists out there today. And yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's not bad. And like, I think it got stronger as the album went on. And I think he showed that he can rap. I don't think he showed that he can rap with the elites out there, but he showed that he is a serviceable artist. I just don't think this is gonna do much to change people's opinions of him either way. I still think he is a solid middle of the ground artist who can pop out with a hit or two every now and then, but I don't really think he has necessarily the qualities that will give him staying power like some of the other artists out there that he seems to like to compare himself to. But I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. You guys let us know what you guys think about Jackman from Jack Harlow. Which tracks are your favorites? Which tracks weren't? Do you agree with his sentiments that he is the best white rapper since Eminem? What do you kind of feel about these Drake comparisons? Do you think they're well deserved? Do you think he has done much to kind of like separate himself from those criticisms? Let us know in the comments down below, wherever you are watching this. And yeah.